Hey there, young grasshoppers, ninjas, and ninjettes, boys and girls of all ages. Welcome to the Optimize Self Show, where we're all about helping you rediscover your health, upgrade your fitness, and optimize your wellness, all while having fun kicking ass through lifestyle design. And where the single most important truth that we subscribe to here is that the human body is a stimulus response organism that responds to stimulus 24/7 without prejudice. So it's what you do the majority of the time that matters the most, not your best intentions. That said, if you're a first-time viewer, then what I ask of you is to, keep an open mind, and for the next, say hour or so, however long this episode goes for, put down what I lightheartedly refer to as the single factor focused monocle that many people have on, which is often fixated on a single factor of health, fitness, wellness, most often exercise and or diet, and instead put on your multi-pronged diversified approach goggles to look at the current state / quality of your overall lifestyle. All right, have a deal? Awesome. Now, this show is usually done in a Q&A format. People write in, they supply the questions, and I supply the answers or attempt to, and if I can't, point them in the direction of someone or something else that can. And today's a little bit different. We're going to get into that in just a moment. But if you would like for me to answer your questions on an upcoming episode of the Optimize Self Show, the way that I would recommend people to do so is by taking the Optimize Self test, okay? And I'll show you how to do this here with a little screen share technology. Here we go. So you would go to optimizeself.ninja. And you'll see the logo at the top. You'll see the video player where you can watch past episodes of the show. And then just below that, you'll see this big red orange button that says, click here to take the Optimize Self test. Ask me a question and uncover what's holding you back from being your best self. You click that, you put your email in there. Of course, I'm sure gift is not your email, but you put your email in there, click the Take the Test Now button, and you will be emailed a link to the Optimize Self test, which is basically a self-assessment type questionnaire that when you fill out is going to do two things. Number one, there's a place in there for you to ask me questions, which I will answer in future upcoming episodes of the Optimize Self Show. But probably even more important than that is there's questions in there that cause you to pause and reflect on how am I doing in each of the 7 foundations of health, those being breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, and exercise, as well as influencing factors like your environment and mindset. And I often find that people who take the test, they always have higher quality questions because I think, again, that test causes them to pause and reflect. So basically, by taking the test, you'll be supplying me with the information I need to give you better, more precise advice to your unique situation or condition. So basically, you'll be helping me help you. So if you haven't already taken the Optimize Self test, I definitely recommend you do so. The other way that you could submit questions is, other than on social media, which I'm on Facebook and Instagram and the Twitter and all of that, is you can also just text me your questions to 619-800-2459. Again, 619-800-2459. And I'll put that number in the show notes so that way, if you didn't get that, you don't have to remember it. But you can also leave audio questions for me to answer in the form of a voicemail. So you can also just call in, you'll hear the voicemail, and then you can just speak. You can say your question, whatever it is, and I will answer that in an upcoming episode. All right. So let me bring the screen share off. There we go. So like I briefly mentioned a little bit ago, today's episode is going to be a little bit different from our normal Q&A format. So it's going to be different in a number of ways. For starters, it's going to be shorter, significantly shorter. Usually these shows go for, probably an hour and a half to 2 hours. This one, I'm guessing, is going to come in under an hour, I hope. Second of all, I've only done this one other time. You're not going to see me this episode. Usually I'm on video, but today just go ahead and sit back and listen, or do something else while you listen in the background. There will be a number of times where I will share my screen with you, in which case I will make it a point to tell you, hey, look at your screen over here. But you can also get a lot of value out of today's show just by simply listening, all right? And instead of giving you a fish, by which I mean answering your questions, I'm going to empower you with some powerful tools you can use to fish for yourself for your entire lifetime. All right. But rest assured, though, that we will return to our normal Q&A format next week. All right. So let's get started. Today's topics, we're going to be going over, first and foremost, why exercise is a privilege, not a right. This is very, very important. I cannot stress enough, so definitely you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Then second, I'm going to ask you to question everything, including yourself. This is also a very insightful line of questioning that is useful, not just in health, fitness, and wellness, but that could be applied to many other things in life. Third, why it's important that you finish what's on your plate before asking for more. That last one is a metaphor, just FYI, in case anyone's like, oh, we're going to be talking about nutrition. We'll leave that for another time. So all that and more coming up on today's show. But before we get to the first topic, I want to just pause for a moment and say thank you to my fellow ninjas and ninjettes, those people who I work with via one-on-one sessions, who keep me on as on a retainer of some sort, as well as the Optimize Self Dojo members, because the Optimize Self show is funded 100% by those people choosing to take action and invest in themselves, in their own healthcare, as well as, yes, they're funding my projects like this show to help you. So I just want to take a moment, say thank you to them. If you are interested in learning, if you want to work with me one-on-one, if you want to keep me on as a retainer, if you want to learn more about the dojo, I'll show you where you can do that really quick. We'll go back to this here. So you guys remember the optimizeself.ninja. So if you scroll below that button where I told you can take the Optimize Self test, you'll start to see a list, right? There's some numbers over here, a list of everything that's included inside the Optimize Self dojo. I'm going to get to that in just a moment because that's kind of my pride and joy right now. I think it's the most bang for your buck, so to speak. So there's all of that, right? And then at the bottom here, there's some links to learn more about one-on-one sessions and retainers. So I'll include links to those in the show notes. But really quickly, let's go over what the Optimize Self Dojo is. And again, there's a lot of parts to it that I won't bore you with reading about, but there's basically 3 parts. Let me scroll down there. I'll let you guys look at that page. So part number 1 is the accountability / support group of the dojo. And this is the form of a private Facebook group. And, I think accountability and support is key to success in anything. The more people that you are accountable to or that hold you accountable, and also the more people that support you in any endeavor, the more likely you are to succeed at it is whatever you're trying to achieve, whether it's lose weight, get out of chronic pain, just improve your overall health, maybe cure yourself of something like diabetes or fibromyalgia, whatever the case may be. Basically get you from wherever you currently are to where you want to be. Accountability and support is huge. So that is part 1. Most important part of the dojo. The second part is every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have these weekly live trainings, also known as hangouts. And, I do one-on-one sessions, but obviously those aren't scalable because there's only one of me and I only have so much time. So these are kind of one on many, where I invite people from the dojo to join me live, like tomorrow. Yeah, this is Friday. So tomorrow we're having one, and kind of lightheartedly referring to as the mistake party. And I think we're having 4 or 5 people on, and we're going to be talking about the mistakes we've made pertaining to health, fitness, and wellness throughout our lifetime, and the important lessons we have learned. Because like I said, you have the built-in accountability and support of the dojo. And one of the founding principles was to crowdsource the collective time, knowledge, and more importantly, experience of all the members of the group. So that way, because there's the old saying that, it's important to learn from mistakes, but nobody ever said that it has to be your mistakes that you learn from. And I think that's very, very important difference there is you could, listen to and watch people make mistakes and learn from them. And we all come from unique, different walks of life. We've all tried and experimented with different, whether it be diets or exercise routines or gizmos and gadgets that, said it was supposed to do this, and maybe some did and some didn't. And so that's the other benefit is we share all this daily in the accountability support group, but also during our weekly live trainings. And I'm on those too, so you can ask me live questions, when I'm on there as well. And then last, but certainly not least, is the access to what I refer to as the Optimize Self Arsenal. And this is a live organic document. It's hosted on Google Drive. So if I make a change, literally if you're looking at it, if I change the to then, you'll see the word change as you're looking at the document. It's really, really cool. So you don't have to worry about as I update it, send you a new link or you have to download it, a new version of it. And basically what the Optimize Self Arsenal is a collection of resources, guides, tutorials, and tools that make it simpler and easier to implement what you learn inside to your day-to-day life. And this is basically a collection of the most important stuff that I've learned over 13 plus years, spending tens of thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of hours in the Making Bodies Better world. This is what I share with my one-on-one and retainer clients that you can have access to through the Optimize Self Dojo. So altogether, you add up the accountability and support group, the weekly live trainings, everything that's included in the Optimize Self Arsenal. And again, you can always look at more of the specifics here on Optimize. Here's all the bonuses that are including each of the modules on how to go about optimizing each of your foundations of health, et cetera, all the guides. So I'll let you look at that, so I don't bore you with all that. But you take all that, you add it all up, and basically there's $3,650 or more worth of value per year. And the amazing thing is you can get started today. You can get access to the dojo and all of that for as little as a one-time payment of $26. And I say as little as because with each membership that is sold, the price does increase. So if you're thinking about it, get in now. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, actually a 200% money-back guarantee. So check that out. I just want to make you guys aware of that because, again, this is what funds the show. This is what keeps it free. This is why, at the beginning of each show, and I'm trying to make this faster to get to the main content, that I take the time to say this is because it's in thanks to the Optimize Self ninjas and ninjettes, those that I work with one-on-one, those that keep me on as retainer. They are what fund the show. They are what make it so that I can do the show and offer the advice I give to people, twice a week for free. So if you're watching this and you haven't joined the dojo, I'm not working with you one-on-one. Granted, I would recommend you join the dojo. Granted, I'm biased, but even if you don't, just say, hey, thanks to the dojo members, because again, they're the ones who are funding you being able to watch us. Without them, this show would not be possible. So with that, let's get on with today's show. All right, let me grab some water and then we'll get started. And you know what? I'm going to bring up something here just so that later on I can more easily put in some timestamps. Here we go. Okay, so I don't know how to get rid of this. Oh, maybe that's how. Hey, check that out. I did it. All right. So no kind of fancy slides, but just want to know where we're at on the show and also more exciting stuff to show you guys later. All right. So exercise is a privilege, not a right. First topic of the day. Listen, I get a lot of questions about exercise. I mean, a lot. Things like, why is one type of exercise better than another? What exercises should I do? How should I do, fill in the blank exercise? In what order should I do X, Y, and Z exercises? Am I using the right form? Should I feel it here or there? And the list goes on and on. Seriously, if I had a nickel for every exercise related question I got, I would be recording today's episode from the helicopter taking off from a giant yacht on the way to my private island. It is insane the amount of exercise related questions I get. Now, exercise questions are neither good nor bad, high quality or poor quality questions. If you've seen the show before, you've probably heard me say that I believe that the quality of one's life is often determined by the quality of questions he or she asks of others as well as asks of themselves. I definitely think that's true. So I don't think there's any stupid questions, but there are better quality questions and there's better time questions. As far as exercise questions, it really depends on the timing and the context in which they are asked. But unfortunately, most people ask them prematurely and out of context of their holistic well-being. So when people are coming to me and asking me about exercise questions, I want to help. I want to give them the answer as to, okay, well, here's the question. My fear is that what the advice, the answer I give them will be taken into context. Because if it's like, hey, am I doing the stretch correctly? Yes or no. And if it's no, okay, here's how. And okay, that's fine. But it's like, well, why are you asking that question? And also, okay, maybe they say, oh, this theoretical person, I'm trying to prove my flexibility. Okay, well, my next question would be, are you, how are you breathing? How are you hydrating? If you're not breathing correctly, you're not going to have blood and oxygen to those muscles. And if you're not hydrated and your muscles are like beef jerky rather than nice, supple, adaptable filet mignon, then it's like, no matter the advice I give you, if you haven't addressed, some of those base foundations of health, like breathing and hydration, what exercise you do and how you do them and what order you do them, it really doesn't mean jack diddly. I don't want them to waste their time and effort. I don't want to waste my breath, and I don't want them to go out and hurt themselves. So again, I think it's the timing of the question. So what I've been telling people more and more is, instead of asking questions about exercise, or at least before you ask me or another exercise professional, expert, whatever you want to refer to people like that as, before asking the question about exercise, ask yourself, why am I asking about exercise? What's the point? And is exercise the most efficient means of achieving my goals, whatever your goal is, whatever you're trying to overcome? And I think this is a good point to kind of pause and say, like I said, the number one truth that we subscribe to here in the show, which is that the human body is a stimulus response organism that responds to stimulus 24/7 without prejudice. So it's what you do the majority of the time that matters the most, not your best intentions. All right. It's what you do the majority of the time that matters the most. And I don't know about you, but I don't exercise the majority of my time. Okay. I tell people exercise is, and rightfully so, should be a part of life, but it is not your whole life. Heck, for most people, it makes up less than an hour of their day. For Americans, I think it's more like 20 to 30 minutes a day. And so even the people who consistently exercise and work out for 20, 30 minutes, even an hour per day, although their intentions may be good, an hour of exercise, of well-intended exercise, cannot counteract 23 hours of suboptimal living. Okay, so think of it this way, and I have something else I want to share with you guys. Give me 1 second here to switch. Oh, I guess that took off the screen share. All right. Excuse me as I dance around with some different windows here. Okay, that's the one I want to share with you guys. Yes. And I wonder, well, I won't make this full screen because I may lose you there. So A lot of people, this is tough because I would say people have been indoctrinated by all the misinformation marketing and social memes that society, is putting out there nowadays. That exercise is the most important, or in some cases, the only way of getting results, of improving yourself, which is obviously just not the case. But a lot of times people have a tough time wrapping their head around this kind of paradigm shift. And so here's some questions, that I prepare that hopefully will help you kind of see it from my perspective. And for whatever reason, if you don't agree, please say in the comments below or contact me and say, well, I get what you're getting at, but maybe this I don't agree with or whatever. But tell me what you think. So think about it. How much of your day consists of, and I want you to picture in your head a pie chart. And in that pie chart is 24 hours. How much of that day, how much of that pie chart is going to consist of breathing? And after each of these questions, I'll share with you kind of a fun fact, if you will, about each of these foundations of health. So how much of your day consists of breathing? Well, fun fact about breathing, the average human takes 22 to 30,000 breaths per day. Yeah, want to make sure you do that right. All right, how much of your day consists of bodily functions that are dependent on hydration? Well, fun fact about hydration, the human body is more than 60% water and cannot survive more than 3 days without water. Also, I'm totally going off script here, but every bodily function and every muscular contraction, from squatting, I don't care, 2-3 times your weight if you're really, really strong, to bending your finger, clicking on the mouse that it took you to start playing this video, that took water. Okay, so just think about that. How much of your day consists of sleep? The average adult human requires 6 to 9 hours of sleep per night and can only survive 8 to 10 days without sleep. Another fun fact, going off script here, is the Guinness World Records, who, they'll accept entries for number of chainsaws juggled and swords swallowed and, dirt bikes jumped across certain lengths and depths of canyons, some really crazy dangerous stuff. They no longer will accept entries for sleep deprivation because they've deemed it too dangerous. Yeah, just mull that over for a while. How much of your day consists of bodily functions that are dependent on nutrition? Fun fact, the macro and micronutrients in food provide energy for all bodily functions in your life. We always talk about, well, how many calories does that have? Well, when's the last time you stopped and said, but wait a second, what the hell is a calorie? Well, it's a measurement of energy. And without calories, we won't go about today about the quality of calories, which are better, but you need calories. If the zombie apocalypse comes, yes, would we like grass-fed beef? But if it's not available and there's a Twinkie, gobble up that Twinkie because you need some substance to survive. All right. All right. How much of your day is affected by stress? Well, you may already be well aware of this, but 90% of all doctor visits are stress-related. How much of your day consists of movement or lack thereof? Well, movement is the foundation of health that binds all stimuli together. A lot of times people hear metabolism, they think just fat burning, but the more you move, the higher metabolism is, and metabolism isn't just about fat burning. It's about your body's being able to repair cells, and basically the higher metabolism, the healthier you are, okay? How much of your day consists of exercise? And this is the one that people are always, asking about. Well, most people only exercise an average of about 15 to 30 minutes per day. And also, from my experience and talking with, colleagues and other people in the health, fitness, wellness, let's put it under the umbrella term of making bodies better world, most people are doing it wrong. So they do it very little, and the time that they do it, they're usually not doing it right. So now ask yourself, which of the above do you think has the biggest impact on your overall well-being out of those 7 foundations of health, out of breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, and exercise? And then list them. You can already see I have, but list their priority beginning with which you think is most vital to sustaining life and being able to perform at your optimal level. Now ask yourself how your environment, I'm going to hide that for just a second. Now ask yourself how your environment and mindset has and can influence each. Well, environment, think about it this way. You are the sum average of your environment. Who you hang out with, what you read, what you watch, what you listen to, what you surround yourself with, what you make contact with and interact with most frequently, and most importantly, what you do. A lot of people have heard about someone, or maybe you've sustained one of these repetitive stress injuries from work, using the mouse or the keyboard too much. Too much. Again, what are you touching? How is that device, object influencing the positions and the movements that you do regularly? Think about the shoes that you wear. If you're in a elevated, a raised heel type of shoe, and I'm not just talking to ladies, not just to the Ninjettes, but also to the ninjas. And guys, I'm not talking about, you're wearing stilettos, which if you are, hey, that's a personal choice, no judgment. But no, even if you're wearing a traditional athletic shoe or a dress shoe, take the shoe off, put your finger in it, and put your finger on the heel, and then put your finger on where your toes rest. And if the heel is above the toes, that means you're going around all day in a slight elevated, basically a heel. And as your heel goes higher and higher, it thrusts your hips anteriorly or forward of your center of gravity. And then, of course, all different parts of your body have to compensate to make up for that. So what kind of casting are you putting your foot in, and how is that changing not only your foot and ankle bones and joints and musculature around there, but how is that having a chain reaction north, in the lower leg and the knee and the upper leg and the hips and pelvis and in the lower back and mid back and upper back and shoulder girdle and neck and head and jaw and all of that. Okay, got to take that in consideration. Now, as far as your mindset, how is that influencing, how you do things and the results you're getting? Well, how and what you think determines how you act, which results in what you get, which then ultimately forms your beliefs and dictates your future thought process. Therefore, the quickest way to change your results is by changing the way you think. That's it. If you believe something to be true, even though if it's really not, there's all the science and the world says, hey, this is this thing, but you believe it to be true. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean how hard you believe in it. It's still not true. So how you think and the way you go about thinking, your thinking process, that could be a very quick way to change and influence. I think environment and mindset are forever influencing these 7 foundations of health. And this is precisely why I have structured, sequence, and prioritized these 7 foundations of health, as well as your environment and mindset, in the fashion that I have, seen down below in the Optimized Self pyramid diagram. Okay, chose the pyramid shape because everybody knows a pyramid is strong because of its wide foundation at the bottom. And if you were to slice a pyramid into layers, well, obviously it's the bottom layers that are the most important, not the top, because without the bottom layers, the top would be small and it wouldn't be as strong. So that's why I put breathing, hydration, and sleep towards the bottom, nutrition and stress in the middle, and then movement and exercise at the top. Exercise is important, and it's at the top, not because it's the most important, because it needs those 6 other foundations of health to be addressed in order to flourish, to be able to get the results that people put their time and effort into exercise to get the most out of it. So when I work with people one-on-one, or when I work with them in the dojo, I always recommend, hey, get your breathing, hydration, and sleep in line. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try to shoot for 80% optimal or above. That's stage 1, that's recovery. And then add on top of that, optimizing nutrition and stress. That's stage 2. Sorry, not, I said step before. These are stages, not steps. So they're built, one on the other. Stage 2, and that's upgrading. Then when you've recovered and you've upgraded, then you can optimize by going to stage 3, which is optimizing your movement and exercise. And the environment and mindset are circling this pyramid here, this diagram, because your environment and mindset are always going to be influencing, depending on your environment and mindset. It could be positively influencing or negatively influencing any or all of these foundations of health. So if you think about it, if you are trying to change your hydration and okay, I should be drinking more water. I told you that, maybe a doctor, maybe someone else told you, and okay, I need to be drinking more water. Well, it's hard to drink more water if you don't have water around. So you can easily change your environment by always having a water bottle full of water nearby, right? That's a way you modify your environment. Now, you can also change your mindset by simply learning something new. Most people who come to me, I get a lot of people with lower back pain. A lot of people will come to me and say, what do I do? What exercise should I do and everything? And eventually we do get to that. But I go, hey, are you drinking water? And I say, what does that have to do with it? And I said, well, listen, you want to do these exercises to improve your back? And they say, yeah. Okay, great. I think you should. But if we're trying to change the quality of these tissues in your lower back, right? We're trying to manipulate them. We're trying to get, especially if they're really tight lower backs, get them to release, to be more supple so that your spine can move more pain-free. That's what we're going for. Yeah. That's what I want. Okay. Well, if the musculature around your back, if you're a 200 plus pound male, let's say you're a 200-pound male, and you're only drinking 2 or 3 cups of water, I guarantee you that musculature, not only around your back, but your body all over, but especially around your back, is like beef jerky. Because what is beef jerky? It's dried up muscle tissue, right? I said, so how do you expect these corrective exercises that you want me to prescribe to you to do any good? Because have you ever tried to move or change the shape of beef jerky? Either one or two things happen. Either A, it doesn't move at all, it doesn't budge, or B, it rips and tears. And I said, I'm sure you don't want either of those two for your lower back. Am I right? And they say, yeah, I don't want that. Okay, well then you need to rehydrate yourself so that you turn the beef jerky-like tissue back to its original design, which is like a nice supple filet mignon that will then have more adaptive properties to the stimulus via the exercises, whether they be strengthening, stretching, whatever, so that your lower back can assume its proper position. And they're like, that makes sense, but I never looked at it that way. I never changed 2 degrees to the left or to the right and looked at it from that perspective. And so, that's where mindset really, really comes in handy. Now, let me stop that there because I wanted to share with you guys that. And that is why, you just saw on the pyramid, I say exercise is a privilege, not a right. I think exercise, and let's compare it just with those first two, exercise and movement. And I apologize because I probably should have left that up a bit more. So let me go ahead and do that. Sorry, that flapping here in the background is Carmen, our optimized health Dojo canine member. So if you look at the top there, there's movement, the orange, and exercise, the gray one. And a lot of people confuse the two. They think they are the same, but they are different. And the way that I would equate movement and exercise is movement is like food and exercise is like supplementation. You want to fill up on the food, and then whatever nutrients that you are not getting from your daily diet, from the whole foods you're consuming, that's what supplements are for, to fill in the gaps. Because ask your grandparents or your great grandparents if they're around. There didn't used to be as many gyms and all these magazines and stuff about working out and exercise, because the further back in time you go, life was exercise. We got enough from our daily diet of moving, of needing to move. It was a necessity. Nowadays, in modern day times, that almost discourages movement. We don't. And that's why you see people trying to, I would say they think they need to when they don't, but oh, I need to exercise more. It's because you don't move as much. People aren't eating as same thing happening with food. You're not eating as high quality of food, so you have to supplement more. So what I'm saying is, fill up on movement. Try to move more each day. I'm recording. I know you guys can't see me, but I'm recording this from the floor, and every few minutes, I don't know again if you can hear this, but I'm adjusting my position. Probably 10 minutes doesn't go by without me, changing. I'm kneeling. I'm, sitting in a Indian pose, half lotus, diva, and I switch sides here and there. And just that is varying up my movement. So that way I don't have to set aside extra, quote unquote, I'm using bunny quote ears, you can't see, time to exercise. Okay. That said, again, exercise can be great, especially in corrective exercises to realign posture and get out of chronic pain. They're great supplements and they're great band-aids. And especially when it comes to bodybuilding and putting on muscle and developing certain skills, they're very useful. I love exercise. I want to make sure that everybody understands I am not, poo-pooing over exercise. I think it's a great thing. I love biomechanics. I love kinesiology and anatomy and all of that stuff. But I think, like I said, exercise is a privilege, not a right. And you first have to address these 6 other foundations of health that you see that are the foundation to exercise, that exercise sits on top of, as well as your environment and mindset, before even concerning yourself with exercise or asking exercise questions. Otherwise, your progress and your results, both in and out of the gym, will surely suffer and be limited. So yeah, you have to, you gotta, I kind of tell people, you have to get to that point. A lot of people are asking exercise questions and trying to put exercise into the equation prematurely. It'd be like taking an infant, just a newborn infant, and going, oh great, look, cute baby. Okay, go do cartwheels, little baby. When the infant could barely crawl, definitely can't stand, and for sure cannot walk. I mean, that's absurd. It's kind of the old saying, putting the horse before the carriage. But people do it again and again and again with exercise. And it's like, listen, some people will say, especially when I was doing strictly posture alignment therapy, people would come to me and their posture was so horrendous. I'm looking at them like, you cannot stand. And they're saying, hey, when am I going to do a marathon? When am I going to do this? And I'm going, okay, that's great. I love that as a goal. Let's definitely work towards that. But are you kidding yourself? You need to learn to stand. Not even stand. Most people don't know how to sit. Most people, this is going to surprise you, they suck at laying down on the floor. Most people, and again, I'm not saying this is everybody, but most people can't breathe correctly. Most people are chronically dehydrated. Most people are chronically sleep deprived. Most people are consuming foods that are causing systemic inflammation throughout their entire body. Most people are chronically stressed out. Most people, sit more than they stand and or walk or move about. Until you've addressed that, I'm not trying to be mean, but you have no place, no right concerning yourself with exercise. You don't need to focus more on exercise. You need to focus more on living better, So hopefully that makes sense. I know I get a little ranty on this because I think it's so important, because I hate to see people put a lot of time, money, and effort into exercise and not get the results that they want, need, and or deserve. They're just spinning their wheels. They become frustrated. And then sometimes they even blame themselves. They blame a system or program, the person who told them to do it. They blame exercise. Then they don't like exercise. And they're missing that, well, hey, In order for exercise to work, you need to be breathing and hydrating and sleeping and eating and controlling your stress and moving more. You need all these things so that you can get the benefit out of the exercise. Otherwise, your ROI, your return on investment for exercise, is just going to suck. And I don't want that for you, and I don't want that for anybody else. So hopefully you get the point. Exercise is a privilege, not an event. So let's move now on to, let's see. All right, we did that one. Boop. How do I change? I'm trying to change slides here for you guys. All right. There we go. Can you guys see that? Awesome. Question everything, including yourself. Let me close some windows here. I'm always trying to save bandwidth. Okay. Let me grab some water and we will continue on. Actually, I've got some bulletproof coffee nearby. I'll drink that instead. Okay. So what do I mean by question everything, including yourself? Well, if you've seen or watched the show today, I guess is seen, or hearing rather, if you've watched or listened to the show before, you've probably heard me say that listening to health experts is usually a good idea, but doing what they say blindly without first cross-referencing it with something or someone else and running it through your own common sense filter is always a bad idea. This is something that grinds my gears. And when I'll ask somebody, well, like, why'd you do this? Oh, because so-and-so said so. Or if it's something I told them, and it's like, okay, you kind of go back to that old, I'm sure we all know this one, well, if I told you to jump off a, bridge, would you? And it seems kind of silly and childish, but it's like, hey, it holds up. Like, you're just going to listen to whatever anybody says, no, you got to take responsibility for your own health. And I think any disclaimer that suggests otherwise does you and everyone else a huge disservice. I also think that it's very important to regularly test assumptions and ask what evidence is there to support a certain belief. So I would ask you, or ask you to ask yourself, what is something that is commonly accepted as fact, I'm using bunny quotations again, as fact that you disagree with, and why? Maybe an example, I'll give you a couple examples. Maybe the eat less and exercise more, or fats are bad, or carbs are bad, or exercise is the most important / efficient / only way to make progress. Obviously, that last one we went over quite thoroughly today, and hopefully that, and some of you may agree with me, but some of you that maybe don't right away. I remember some of you never will, but maybe some of you that go, I don't know if I fully agree with that yet, but it gives me something to think about. That's great, because there's two quotes I'm thinking of right now. One is from, I believe, Oscar Wilde, which says everything popular is wrong, and the other is from Mark Twain, and it says when you find yourself on the side of majority, it's time to pause and reflect. And I think that's, we as humans, there's certain cognitive biases that we want to have that certainty. Oh, if this, then that. It's that rule. It's that simple. Oh, I don't have to worry about that ever again. That's a rule. And oh gosh, that sounds nice. And I get why people want that, but it's not, not always the case. And especially with health, fitness, and wellness, with, the way things change. You hear eggs are good for you, eggs are bad. Well, who are writing those articles? And I'm sure they have their own reason. Unfortunately, some of them may be financially backed by certain companies, so you got to look out for that. But maybe they each have their own point. And then maybe you take the good points of both and you come up with your own conclusion. So I'm sure we all know somebody like this that I'm about to describe, or maybe you are this person. And if you are, that's fine. I'll share with you this person who is my mother-in-law. And Mamusha, if you're listening, one, your English is getting much better than my Polish, and two, I love you, or kocham cię in Polski. So my mother-in-law loves to share with us, and by us I mean my wife Anya and I, health articles about why a particular thing is or is not healthy. And other people have done this too. It's the first that comes to mind. I'm not trying to pick on my mother-in-law. I absolutely love her. To which I recommend now to people and to her, okay, go find an article that says the exact opposite of what you just found. And it's easy. All you have to do is whatever you searched, are eggs healthy? Search are eggs unhealthy? And, you'll find it. It's really, really simple now with, Google and everything. It's easy, and it raises questions that only an n equals 1, which if you're not familiar with that means, it's like a self experiment, or more accurately experience can answer. If you read something, two conflicting articles, for example, we'll go with the eggs thing. Okay, well, so and so says that, so and so says that, but what's it matter? Why don't you learn from both and then try for yourself? And then of course you have to quantify it. Before you try to improve something, you need to quantify it and then see, does your health, does it move the marker up or down? Is it positive or negative? If it's negative, then who cares how many people say eggs are healthy? For you, they're not. And then to stay away from them. And also the same can be true. If they're, bad for you, yeah, they're bad for you, stay with them. If they're good for you, then, consume them. Excuse me here, a little window popped up. So that's why I tell people, go out and try to prove yourself wrong. A mark of an advanced mind actually is to attempt to disprove something that you believe in. And if it's something that you believe in that is actually true, then it should hold up to you and others trying to disprove it. And it's unfortunate because I would say that I would say most of the world, but I can definitely say for America, since grew up there and went through the school and everything, society has taught people that being wrong and making mistakes is bad. I mean, we get graded as children on papers, and if you get this grade, you're not as good as that other kid who got the better grade, and all that stuff, basically screws us up. But what I like to share with you is being wrong is one of the greatest things that we as humans can experience. It allows us to see the world through the eyes of a child and experience our environment as well as ourselves in new and fascinating ways, open to all kinds of wonderful possibilities. So seriously, you should give it a try. It's awesome. It's one of the things that I love most about traveling. And you figure, you go to a new country, maybe with a different language, you're like, what does that sign say? Oh, I learned it. You look at kids and how easily entertained they are by the simplest things, because as adults we're like, oh, that's a flower, or like, oh, that's a mound of dirt, like whatever, been there, done that. For the kid, it's the first time they've experienced it, or maybe the first time they experienced it in this place during this time. And so for them, it's this wonderland. And that's what, like I said, one of the things my wife and I love about travel. But it can also be about your health, fitness, and wellness, discovering things. Trust me, life would get pretty darn boring if you knew you were going to be right all the time about everything. So go out and see who and what disagrees with you. I always welcome people to disagree with me, and there is a polite way of, I always ask for constructive criticism. There's no need for name calling or attacking people's race, gender, religious beliefs, sexuality, all that stuff. You can say, hey, I appreciate your outlook or thought on this, but I disagree, and here's why, and maybe here's some supporting evidence to prove my side. I love that, because there's a lot of things I'm very confident in that I'd like to think that not so high on my horse that I go, okay, I'm 100% right. but there's certain things that it's like I do much have the mentality, hey, you can agree with me on this or you can be wrong. Choose one. But then there are some other things too, and I like to say this: the majority of things that I like to think, you know what? Yeah, please, somebody disagree with me in constructive criticism in a kind way, and explain to me why you think this. And I love that. I love learning reasons why and why, or maybe reasons I was wrong, or reasons maybe like I was half wrong. I got part of it, but I didn't get the full way. And this person was able to school me and educate me on finding that missing piece, that last maybe, I don't know, 20-30% of the puzzle that I was kind of heading in the right direction, but I wasn't quite there, and they helped me figure that out. That's great. So again, go out, be wrong. Being wrong, making mistakes, it's fine. Granted, I know we'd like to avoid mistakes, but it's okay to make them. It's how we learn. I always tell people the only way you fail is by never trying. Also, if you never make mistakes or you never fail, you're just not trying hard enough in life. So go out, make mistakes, learn from them. And if you can't, don't go out and try to make mistakes that will cause you harm or lose you money or hurt people or anything like that. But even take something, like I said, that you believe in and go searching for evidence that, proves otherwise. And I'm not saying that's an exercise in trying to change your beliefs. Who knows? Maybe it'll turn out to be, but perhaps it'll give you a different viewpoint on something. You go, I never thought about it that way, which then even makes your thought process on the topic, even stronger. So, like I said, question everything, question yourself. Definitely when you're dealing with health experts of any kind, professionals, gurus. I don't really like those names. That's why I kind of lightheartedly coined the term sensei for myself. Even dealing with me, listen to what health experts have to say and share with you. I think that's fine. And I recommend it, listening. But please, do me a favor. Do not do what they or I or anyone says. Don't do what we say out of just blind faith and like, oh, well, you're the professional in this area of expertise, so you must know better than I do. Because what you're doing is you're passing the responsibility of your healthcare on to someone else, or some people do that with something else, right? This machine, the device, the computer said that, oh, so I'm just gonna follow it. And it's like, no, you're not gonna get I guarantee you're not gonna make progress that way. First, you have to take responsibility for your own healthcare. You have to actively participate. And part of that means if you're in an appointment with a health professional and doctor, they say something you don't understand, say, hey, doctor or PT person or whoever it is you're dealing with, I don't understand that. Can you explain that? And if something doesn't make sense, don't just sit by, passively and nodding, going, and go, wait, that doesn't make sense because doesn't this, blah, 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 and have that discussion with them. I think some people are afraid to do that, or they feel inferior to that expert's knowledge. But you know what? I'll tell you, as someone on the other side of that conversation, I really appreciate it, because if I'm saying it and you're not understanding it, well, I'm not doing my job very well, because I'm supposed to be communicating this to you. And one of the best ways that experts become experts is by teaching people. And so the better that we can become at teaching others and conveying information, the better we become. So you're helping yourself out, and you're also helping that person who's trying to teach you. All right. So I think that covers it for the question everything, including yourself. And I think now we will go on to the final topic. Did that work? Yes, it is. Finish what's on your plate before asking for more. And I'm going to grab some water, and then we'll finish this last topic. I guess technically we have to start the last topic and then finish it. So what do I mean by finish what's on your plate before asking for more? Well, I'm not actually talking about food or diet or nutrition of any kind. We'll save that topic for another episode. What I mean is that, I think a major problem with a lot of industries, but let's stick with health, fitness, wellness, kind of the making bodies better world area, is that there's so much information out there. I would say most people would agree that there's an overwhelming amount of information. And unfortunately, most of that information is made up of misinformation and marketing and social memes. Very little of it is based on science and also experience. Now, that's something we're looking to rectify inside the Optimized Self Dojo, but that's right now, a small community compared to, the internet and the world. Very small in comparison to that. So, and I always tell people, something I wish that would happen. I know it's never going to. As much as I love to hear that there's all this new health and fitness research being done, and it's great, and it helps people, and it saves lives, and it's like, yeah, all of that is great, but look at the general the trend, especially in long-term healthcare. I think medical research has made leaps and bounds in being able to save people who've been, like, hit by cars and ran over by trains and all this horrendous type of stuff, and saving their lives. I think it's amazing what they've done. But when it comes with people dealing with chronic pain symptoms or lifestyle diseases like diabetes or fibromyalgia or some of these autoimmune stuff, they're not, I think they've kind of dropped the ball on that. And that's because, really what they learn, their school and everything, it prepares them for treating more acute symptoms, like I said, which they definitely kick ass at. So if there is any doctors or anyone else watching, surgeons and things like that, oh my gosh, what you guys are doing is amazing. But there's so much information, and just more and more comes out every day. And so what I've always said is, I wish for like a decade there was a legal pause on all medical research and everything done. I know some people say, well, that's going to take away from this and bad stuff. I said, okay, yeah, I get that. Hear me out though. And I said, instead, we spent a decade focusing on what we already know and teaching people how to consistently implement that and apply it into their day-to-day lives. Because knowing, people say, knowing is half the battle. I would say it's like 10% of the battle. Knowing and not doing is practically the same as not knowing. Knowing without execution it's practically useless. And there's also a big difference on the spectrum between knowing, did, and doing. I always talk about Roy Vaden's The Rent Axiom. Success is never owned, it is only rented, and the rent is due each and every day. If you want to, if you want to be clean, you have to shower regularly, ideally daily, or, but regularly. You can't take a shower today and 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now go, hey, why do I smell? You got to rinse and repeat, right? You got to brush your teeth every day. If you want to be healthy, you have to eat healthy every day. You have to sleep well and do all those optimize all those foundations health that we talked about previously. So I really wish that instead of throwing more and more info at people, and by we I mean the people in the Making Bodies Better world, would help people and go, hey, here's what we already know. Here's what we as a community we all agree on, that these are the truths. These are life truths about health, fitness, and wellness. And even though we know them, wow, there's a very small percentage of people who are actually executing on this, that are actually doing it. How can we fix that? I would love to see worked on more. So instead of giving you more and more information today, what I would say is consume what is already out there. Now, what I've put out there, at least for OptimizeSelf.Ninja, you've got 38 episodes now of the Optimized Self show, and you have 159 Catalyst of the Day videos. And if you don't know what those are short, 15-second or less. By Catalyst of the Day, they could be questions, thoughts, facts, quotes, challenges, call to action of the day videos that I put out each and every day. So there's 159 of them as of today. What's today? May 15th, 2015. So there's those out there. I'm going to include links in the show notes so you can watch those. And you can always watch past episodes of the show over on OptimizeSelf.Ninja. I'll show you that maybe in a little bit, or you can find them on YouTube at. Well, I'll put a link to the playlist in the show notes below. But check those out. And then also, if you're a member of the Optimize Self Dojo, you've got 18 live trainings, aka hangouts, that even though we did live, there's recordings of them, and there's links inside the dojo to the recordings, to 18 of them. And as of tomorrow, May, was it 16th, there will be 19 of those. So there's approaching about 100 hours of footage. Include everything inside the Optimize Self arsenal. Oh, there's definitely over 100 hours of footage. But the Optimize Self show, you have access. I know everybody has access to that for free. The Callus of the Day videos definitely have access to that for free. If you're part of the dojo, you have access to the recordings of the live trainings, the hangouts, as well as the all the material and the video tutorials and the optimizing your fill in the blank for the foundation of health modules. You have access to all that as well. So my question to you is, how many have you watched, and what did you learn from them? What do you think was the most important, and how much of what you've learned have you applied to your life? Because that's what really counts. That's where the pavement meets the road, so to speak. A lot of people will say, ask me a question, and I'll give them a link to a video that I talked about, basically answering their question, and then they'll send me the same question back, maybe slightly worded different. I said, yeah, I mean, and I'll look back at the history of that email. It's going like, yeah, I answered that, like right here. And some of them, they don't even want to, and if they have, they're like, oh yeah, I watched that. I'm like, oh, cool. So this? Yeah. Did you do it? No. I've been busy. It's football season. It's like, well, asking me the same question again, slightly, with the different wording, isn't going to change my answer. I'm going to give you the same answer. You just have to go do it. I know that's crazy and it sounds overly simplified, but it is. Most people are going to fail to get the results because most people, they're not willing to put in the time and effort needed to get the results. Most of the answers that I give are rather simple. They're not always easy. I can't guarantee that, but they are simple. So, also too, like I said, there's about 100 hours worth of footage. And if there isn't anything in the 18, sorry, not 18, in the 38 episodes of the Optimize Self show, or the 159 Callus of the Day videos that interest you, well, then you only have yourself to blame, because all the content that I post is contextual to what you and others ask me. Like I said, there's very much Q&A. So if there isn't something that, like I said, interests you, that you're like, man, that's not for me, well, that's because you haven't asked. So to which I would challenge you, hey, stop sitting quietly on the sideline. Stop being a wallflower. Get up, speak up, and make yourself heard. And you can do that by taking the Optimize Self test over at optimizeself.ninja, like I showed you earlier in the show, that big red orange button. Click on that, take the test, and or texting me or voicemailing me at 619-800-2459. Again, 619-800-2459, and I will include that number in the show notes below. So in case you didn't get that at the beginning of the show or just now, let me grab some water and we will close out this show. Well, like I said, today definitely different, but I think it's important. Today we went over really a lot of the way you think about exercises, the way that you question things, question professionals, question assumptions and preconceived notions, and certain social beliefs surrounding health, fitness, and wellness. You can also do the same for other things. in your life, as well as questioning yourself. And then we touched upon finishing what's on your plate, consuming what is already there before looking for more, instead of going after that new shiny fact or research paper. Why don't you stop and go, wait a second, what do I already know? And more importantly, out of what I already know, how much am I actually doing? Otherwise you're just going to perpetually keep on looking for facts, and if you don't apply any of them, well, then they pretty much are meaningless or close to. So hope you guys got a lot out of that. We're able to pull some gems from that. If you have any follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Again, you can reach me at 619-800-2459. You can find me at optimizeself.ninja. There you can take the Optimize Self test. You can also join the Optimize Self Dojo if you so choose. If you think that looks like it'd be beneficial to you, you can do that. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to ask you to like this video if you found any information helpful. Like it on YouTube, share it with anyone that you think could benefit from these answers, or any of the past episodes too. Share those with your friends, your family, coworkers, anyone that you think can benefit from this information. I know they would really appreciate you thinking of them, keeping them on top of mind. And I would appreciate it as well, helping spread the word and share the love, so to speak. So you would be both of our heroes. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed. Click the subscribe button over on youtube.com/Optimize Self Ninja, basically the Optimize Self Ninja channel. I was looking for that word. I'm like, what the channel. That way you can stay up to date with all the recent happenings and going on inside the Optimize Self ecosystem. All right. And last but certainly not least, if for whatever reason you think the Optimize Self Dojo or the one-on-one sessions or the retainers, any of those three just, aren't for you. And if they're not, that's absolutely fine. I would actually, though, be interested to know why not, or what I could change or improve upon to make it be of more value to you, to make it be of continual service to you. I'm always looking for ways to improve. But if for whatever reason currently they're not, but you like the show and you want to support the show, you can do that by going to optimizeself.ninja/support. Again, that's optimizeself.ninja/support. And that will take you to a PayPal page where you can donate as little or as much as you want. Anything is appreciated, and it could be a one-time payment or a monthly recurring payment, and 100% of that will go towards supporting the show and keeping it free. All right. So I think about that does it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. I look forward to seeing my dojo members. For those of you that are watching, tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, our normal schedule time for our hangout. We're gonna have a nice mistake party. Should be fun. Bring virtual snacks, please, for everybody. Just kidding. And to everyone else, I look forward to seeing you inside the next video next week. Until then, take care and be a good human.